with Trustee Withrow.
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Brown?
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Handy? We'll get back to Trustee Handy. Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan? We'll get back to Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan. Trustee Weinstein?
Here.
Thank you.
I'm here, Brenda.
Okay, thank you. And Trustee Napolia Bella-Reese?
Here.
President Bonilla?
Here.
Thank you. And do we have Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan in yet?
He said that he is having a hard time getting in, or is waiting, rather.
I don't see him under the attendee list. Let me send him a message. But President Bonilla, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll just wait a few more seconds for Trustee Gonzalez.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Yes, I'm here now. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Madam President, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to our July 28th, 2020 regular board meeting. We will call this meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by, Karen White, by Trustee Weinstein. She said, no, don't do that to me. I'll lead us in a pledge. How about that?
Perfect.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and
and
to the republic for which it stands,
stands
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you for that baritone Pledge of Allegiance, President Johnson.
My grandfather taught me that.
There you go. Thank you for that. Madam Vice President, do we have a report out from closed session?
Yes, we do. At today's closed session, the board voted for the following closed session actions. Quite a bit here. Number one, appoint Dr. Carla Walter as acting chancellor of the Peralta Community College District, effective July 18, 2020, until an interim appointment is made at $314,943 annually. Motion by Trustee Withrow, seconded by Trustee Reese. 7 ayes, 0 noes, 0 abstain, 0 absent. Number two, appoint Mark Johnson as Executive Director of Public Information, Communications and Media, District Office, effective July 15, 2020 through July 14, 2022 at $149,874 annually. Motion by Trustee Withrow, seconded by Trustee Reese. 7 ayes, 0 noes. Number three, extend the appointment of Royal Roberts as Interim Director of Employee Relations and Diversity Programs, District Office, effective July 1, 2020 through December 30, 2020 at $167,167 annually. Motion by Withrow, second by Reese. 7 ayes, 0 noes. Number four, appoint Shalamon Duke as Dean of Counseling and Special Programs, College of Alameda, effective July 22, 2020 through July 21, 2022. at 138,345 annually. Motion Withrow, seconded by Reese. 7 ayes, 0 noes. Number 5, appoint Donald Miller as interim president of College of Alameda, effective July 20, 2020, until the position is filled, at 172,931 annually. Motion Withrow, second Reese, 7 ayes, 0 nays. Number 6, appoint Rudolph Bestikoff as interim president of Laney College, effective July 20, 2020, until the position is filled, at 184,460 annually. Motion Withrow, second Reese, 7 ayes and 0 nays. 7, extend the appointment of Denise Richardson as acting vice president of instruction, Merritt College, effective July 1, 2020, until the position is filled, at 155,638 annually. Motion Withrow, second Reese, 7 ayes, 0 nays. 8, extend the appointment of Chris Foster as interim dean of liberal arts and social sciences, Merritt College, effective July 1, 2020, until the position is filled, at 126,816 annually. Motion Withrow, second Reese, 7 ayes, 0 nays. Number 9, appoint Adil Ahmed as acting vice chancellor of finance and administration, effective July 27, 2020, until permanent vice chancellor Walter returns from the position of acting chancellor, at 184,460 annually. Motion Withrow, second Reese, 7 ayes and 0 nays. And Madam President, that concludes the closed session readout.
Thank you for that, Madam Vice President. We will move to approval of the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia-Bella Reese?
Yes.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And roll call. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia-Bella Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 2.7, Associated Student Government Reports. Do we have any students with us? No, we don't. Okay, we will move to and wish them a happy summer. We will move to item 2.8, Peralta Classified Senate Report.
Do we have Terrence in the room?
Hello.
Ms. Fisher? Hi, Terrence.
Hey, thank you. Good evening, President Bonilla, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Walter, presidents, and guests. We have no classified Senate campus reports this afternoon. However, I wanted to make everyone aware of an upcoming classified event. The Classified Professional Development Committee, with the support of Peralta administration, are planning a series of discussions about classified professional development opportunities at Peralta. The first webinar, entitled Promoting at Peralta, will be held on Friday, August 7th at 1 p.m. and will feature a panel of classified and former classified professionals who have successfully climbed the career ladder at Peralta. That is the end of the campus reports. Thank you very much for your attention and support of the Peralta Classified Senate.
Thank you, Terrence.
Thank you for that. We'll move to the District Academic Senate report.
We have Eleni Gastis.
I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening, President Bonilla, members of the board, Acting Chancellor Walter, presidents, and guests. My name is Eleni Gastis, and I am the Laney College Faculty Senate President and advisor to Peralta's only student-run publication, The Citizen. I am making the DAS address tonight on behalf of President Donald Moore and the 4 Senates. First and foremost, I would like to invite members of the district community to attend the DAS plenary on Thursday, August 13th. This Zoom event will feature multiple panels and a focus on equity-mindedness and inclusivity. I think it is safe to say that we've been through a lot this year. The pandemic is just another complicated layer to the many happenings in our district. We want to use the plenary to once again ground ourselves in the importance of shared governance and its role in furthering student success. The District Academic Senate and the faculty want to work together with you, hand in hand, following our processes and collaborating in the name of student success. We are reminded of student success as Laney College is thrust into the national spotlight today with the premiere of Last Chance U on Netflix. If you haven't checked it out yet, however, be forewarned, there might be just a few cuss words in there. Touting a 90% success rate, Coach John Beam is just one example of how our faculty are committed in their own unique ways to helping students reach their goals and dreams. Our faculty have reiterated this commitment during the summer as they've worked hard to better themselves, with many of them actively participating in online training to learn how to become better online teachers. Many of these trainings were led by other faculty in a beautiful peer support model. Many of you here tonight might not know the intricacies of online teaching, which many would argue is 100% harder than teaching face-to-face. The careful planning, the execution of lesson plans, and the struggle to engage students in an online teaching environment is challenging. Many of our students, as you already know, are struggling with this mode of learning and access to technology. Many of us who relish in the energy of face-to-face classes, along with our students, are doing everything that we can to recreate those feelings on a Brady Bunch Zoom screen. Yet, here we are. We continue to call on the district to help us by providing adequate funding for training and support not only for students, but for faculty. We hope that the district will work with us to create the supportive infrastructure that will make this kind of teaching most successful for our students. Lastly, I want to leave you with some concerns about the current permanent president searches at Laney College and College of Alameda. The Laney College Faculty Senate drafted a letter to the trustees and Acting Chancellor Walter last week that asked for an extension for our permanent president hiring process. Our concerns were not only rooted in the rushed nature of the search, leaving just 1 month during a pandemic to recruit and apply, but discrepancies in advertising and violations of administrative procedure. COA's hiring timeline, like Laney's, was also just a month long. We know stability at the colleges is important to the district, but we feel that if we are to find qualified, diverse candidates who wish to truly invest in our community, we just can't rush it. We ask that you extend or restart the permanent hiring timeline so that we can attract these qualified, diverse candidates to our colleges. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eleni. Madam President.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
14 people lined up for public communication.
Thank you.
Our first couple individuals are Michael Cooper and Jennifer Shinowski.
Hi, I need just a moment more to prepare if the other could go first.
Sure. Jennifer Shinowski.
Hi, good evening. As an overachiever, I'm prepared, ready to go. So welcome everyone. It's nice to see you all tonight, sort of, in gallery view. Just a few comments I have about items on the agenda tonight. First is the fiscal health report that has Peralta scoring just above 5% on that survey. I'd really like to give kudos to the board for taking their fiduciary responsibility seriously and doing all the hard work of turning this ship in the right direction. I'd like to give a special shout out to the newest member of our board, Cindy Reese, who has brought fresh perspectives and real knowledge about our community colleges with her upon her swearing in less than 2 years ago. After so many years of financial instability, culminating in a figma score of almost 70, we're really grateful to see that our financial situation has improved so much over such a short period of time, and we're so grateful for this board for helping us get there. The tentative budget to be voted on tonight continues to really trouble PFT. All 4 colleges have significant cuts to their budget, while the district budget is increasing again. Parcel tax expenditures continue to be problematic as the bulk of those dollars are allocated towards books and supplies, not instruction as prescribed by our local administrative procedure and taxpayer promises. And as we've said before, our participatory governance body was not able to weigh in on this budget as prescribed in the budget development calendar. These are all things that I've brought the last 3 meetings, so none of them are really new. PFT remains concerned about the almost complete lack of communication between the district administration and the collective bargaining units. We remain committed to finding solutions that will allow faculty, staff, and students to stay healthy and safe while delivering an excellent education to our students. We again demand that the district meet with PFT, SEIU 10-1, and Local 39 to negotiate the many health and safety issues that remain unclear, and that direct dealing with faculty and staff cease immediately. We look forward to meeting with Acting Chancellor Walter and getting to work to address these issues right away. In closing, I'd like to go on record with this body and those watching regarding the possible appointment of a special trustee. Ed Code is very clear on this matter. The appointment of a special trustee is limited to situations where the district's financial picture is dubious. As seen in the fiscal health report on today's agenda and the comments of the BOG and fiscal monitor Jim Austin last May, Peralta's done great work in shoring up the issues that were identified last year. Again, we are grateful for the board's direction on that and the administration and staff who tackled this huge undertaking. Our board is a democratically elected body of community members. Taking away the right of our community to freely determine who will represent them is a serious move and should be viewed with an abundance of caution. The loss of local control rarely serves anyone except the administrators and consultants who profit from it. Just ask our Oakland Unified School District. We must stand together to ensure that our voices continue to be heard through a free, democratic process where all constituency groups, including labor, are able to advocate for their positions and engage in leading our colleges. We might not always agree on things at all times, but engaging with each other and sharing our perspectives will always make us stronger and better. Thank you so much and have a great night.
Thank you, Jennifer. Michael Cooper, are you ready? Or not quite yet?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Sorry, a moment. Hello, Mike Cooper here, president of the Associated Students of Merritt College. I'm here today to speak only for myself. I'm here to request once more that any and all willing to reach out to me and schedule some time to go over my grave concerns for my fellow students, the state of the school, and the dynamics of this board do so. I have strived to approach my concerns and perceptions with patience, an open mind, extreme effort and objectivity, consideration for extenuating circumstances, trying always to ask questions before drawing conclusions, and with a personal philosophy in proactively offering support prior to criticism. Yet despite my best effort, I see more and more reason to be concerned. Dr. King spoke of something called policy windows, periods of time in which great opportunity for change and improvement become all the more attainable. Right now, we are going through one of the most catalytic precious, valuable, vulnerable yet powerful moments in our nation's history. Set aside the vast circumstances our colleges face internally, and we are surrounded by an ocean of world-shaping spikes in the ongoing civil rights movement and a global pandemic with such complex factors that it has become unlike anything we have seen before, and it inspired mutual aid and community responses and support like we have never seen before. So when we are in the heart of such a precious policy window, why do I have to search high and low for any mayor or city council person who even has the faintest idea of the struggles that we are facing? Why am I getting the impression that I am among the very few people seeking help from our own higher elected officials? Why do I feel like I experience so much reluctance to engage the public and the greater community for help with the issues that we face in Peralta? This has led me to a reluctant perception that the board is no fan of having the community's eyes upon them. I do apologize for anyone that these statements misrepresent, though I feel most valid in my position of charging each of you, gently if I can, with the responsibility of helping me to develop a better understanding of these issues, perceptions, and the courses I am exploring in response to them. At this juncture, I am finding it much easier to reach Oakland, Berkeley, and Hayward's mayors, commissioners, council members than it is to reach and collaborate with the trustees of my own school district's board, as I stand before them as in an elected student position. I am finding it easier to reach those at the state governor's office, the board of governors, entities within the California Community College hierarchy than my own local board of trustees. I cannot begin to make sense of this no matter how much credit I try to give to extenuating circumstances. All that does make sense to me is to focus on those available to work on these matters.
I'm going to ask you to recap or just to actually finish your statement, please.
Yes, I'll go as fast as I can. Feel free to cut me off where you must.
The time is up, actually.
That's fine.
So we can wrap up. Thank you.
You, Richard Tholey and Jamil Tier.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Richard Tholey. I'm the SEIU 1021 Peralta chapter president. I hope you're all doing well tonight and staying safe. And I first want to thank our trustees for their individual and board endorsement of yes on Proposition 15, also known as Schools and Communities First, which is estimated to bring in about $4.6 billion to Bay Area schools and communities, if passed. So we need everybody to register to vote and go ahead and support that proposition as well. There are many forms of employer discrimination that I just want to touch base on, and many of them include workplace bullying, disparity in treatment from managers amongst their many employees, lack of pay equity, upward mobility, on and on. So SEIU is currently working on building an anti-bullying campaign across the district, so we can help identify, call out, and work with the district to prevent workplace bullying. I trust Actor Chancellor Walter and the Board of Trustees will support our efforts and know that they will take classified professional complaints seriously. In addition, we trust in the Chancellor and the Board's guidance to change any negative culture throughout the district, and we support that and want to be a part of that. You will hear some of our classified staff speaking tonight more on their own experiences, but for now, I want to share a part of our communication shared with the Chancellor and the Board. Several classified professionals represented by 2 bargaining units in one of our departments, General Services, have come together and asked us to report on what they understand to be several violations of district administrative procedures. Specifically 3430, 7122, 7123, Measure A bond policy, and there's a few other ones. So what I'll jump to is, regrettably, there was a change in management, and we believe that the current bond policy and that realignment of position has created a situation where this manager is being paid with bond funds, but not supporting or working on bond projects. So we believe this is in violation of the bond requirements and terms of that employment. Regrettably, members of the department have also raised additional concerns regarding this reassignment as it relates to harassment, as it relates to retaliatory behavior, consisting of arbitrary reassignment of duties, reassigning responsibilities to different staff, denial of out-of-class compensation, and insistences, even though people have doctor's notes, for them to report to the work site. So as SEIU and Local 39 have filed grievances on several of these contract violations and against the board policies. We're going to continue to reach out to management, and we're going to continue to file our grievances. But we felt it's at the point where we've tried everything we can in bringing these situations up to management, to human resources, that we need to bring it up to our chancellor and our board of trustees so they could be made aware of these issues and really help us attempt to have these problems resolved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. We have Jamil Tier and Stacy Lancaster.
Hello, can you hear me?
A little soft.
We can.
Okay, let me lean in. Give me just a moment. Is it any better?
Yes.
Wonderful. Good evening. My name is Jamil Tier, and I'm the Vice President of the Peralta chapter of SEIU and a member of the Department of General Services. Tonight, you have heard from my chapter president, and you will hear from a number of my colleagues from the Department of General Services. These individuals represent both SEIU and Local 39 bargaining units and are a hardworking, passionate, and dedicated group of classified professionals whose sole goal is to support a safe workplace for our students. I am speaking up tonight first and foremost to support them in their statements illustrating the workplace experiences that they have and in asking the administration and the board for a response. Second, SEIU has been unable to secure an executed copy of our negotiated COVID-19 MOU. This document was tentatively agreed to in May of 2020. Our leadership team has asked for the document to be executed and posted on the website for members and management. Further, I have been fielding member questions daily about the return to work date, worksite plans, and on-site conditions. And I have yet to be able to report to our members that SEIU has returned to the table to voice concerns and address the many questions that have been posed. We'd ultimately like to work with the district to ensure the continued safety of our students, faculty, staff, and administration under this continued pandemic. Lastly, over the past 2 weeks, Vice Chancellor Sada has held a total of 3 listening sessions detailing plans for a centralized reorganization of the Department of General Services. At its best, the reorg looks largely to be a response to the staffing shortages General Services and the colleges have experienced over the last several years. There remain, however, a number of questions around when the reorg will take place, how any new positions and reporting structure will affect current staff, and SEIU has since December been asking to meet and confer with HR over any effects to our members under this planned reorganization. I am renewing that request to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamil. Stacy Lancaster and Natalie Rodriguez.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening. I'm here as a whistleblower asking how is it possible for a bond-funded capital projects manager to be given a non-bond funded director position? A director position managing general funds, general fund activities, and general fund employees. This is actually illegal. San Jose Community College and Fresno Community College were both found guilty for the misuse of bond funds. Both colleges use bond funding to pay general fund employees. Here at Peralta, there is a bond-funded employee in the position of a director managing general funds, general fund activities, and general fund employees, none of which are bond-funded. There have been a number of complaints reported to HR on the bond violations, the hostile work environment, the retaliation, and the bullying behavior of which this situation has created over the past 11 months. I am here as a whistleblower this evening to bring public attention to the hostile work environment, bullying, disparate treatment, obstruction, and realignment of work assignments, which have all been a part of retaliation that I have endured as a Black woman in addressing these issues and the negative impact of the violations it can have on the district. The bullying has elevated to the disregard of the health and safety of myself and other employees, demanding employees return to work on a number of repeated occasions during this pandemic, despite medical provided documentation, just as another form of retaliation in reporting the violations and concerns to HR. The Citizens Bond Oversight Committee should be informed of the bond violations and all violations, as well as the numerous complaints filed with HR, most of which have gone unanswered, should be thoroughly investigated immediately. With that, I leave a question of, are the policies and procedures only followed when convenient for administration? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lancaster. Natalie Rodriguez, Annie Javier.
Good evening, all. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Natalie Rodriguez, and I'm the Outreach and Retention Specialist at College of Alameda. I have been at COA for 3.5 years now. I was originally hired to be one of 2 outreach specialists. I only had a counterpart for 3 months. Board documentation, however, might prove otherwise, given that a temporary hourly person was brought in to backfill for my former counterpart with the outreach specialist title. This person did not set foot in the outreach office or share any of the department duties with me during the duration of her contract. This is only one example of the ways in which I have experienced severe inequality at College of Alameda. Other examples include being denied a reclassification while others have received the manager support in reclassifying, being denied out-of-class opportunities and overtime even when it is offered by external departments, while others are approved for multiple overtime, comp time, and out-of-class opportunities, sometimes simultaneously, and being overlooked for positions which I know that I am qualified for and capable of. I am an educator. In the current state of the world, it is beyond frustrating to continue to attempt to resolve these wrongs and continuously be ignored. Continuously addressing these issues and presenting evidence is re-traumatizing. The amount of stress given my work and my continuous need to prove myself has led me to therapy. Multiple colleagues have encouraged me to take my talents and experience elsewhere. I have said it before and I will say it 1,000,000 times again. Peralta is my heart and soul. It is home, and I refuse to give up on my students and my community. Being born and raised in the Fruitvale district of Oakland, I took summer classes at Laney while I was in high school. My mother took ESL through Laney. My sister graduated from Merit. It is my right and my responsibility to continue to serve my community. While I cannot speak for my colleagues, my fight is not a fight for myself. I am on a mission to see true and just institutional change in a system that constantly tells me that it wants my work, but not me. I am empowered to speak on this culture at COA, not only due to the current political climate in our country, but also because I have the support of my union, as well as other colleagues who have had similar experiences. I wholeheartedly believe that we are in a moment in time when ancestors are speaking to us and through us. Please do not be surprised if I am the first to speak, but not the last. I would like to end with a quote from Dr. Luke Wood from the book Black Minds Matter. To see school as a site for civil resistance means embracing a calling and a life purpose that advances light in a system of darkness. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Javier. Nzinga Dugas and Katrina King.
Actually, that was Ms. Rodriguez.
Oh, Ms. Rodriguez. My apologies. Annie Javier, please.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Annie Javier, and I'm currently the staff assistant for General Services. I'd like to share with you a sample of what I'm experiencing in the Peralta system so that you're aware of what some of us are experiencing in our work environment. When shelter in place started because of the pandemic, along with many colleagues and family members, I feared catching COVID. With my anxiety of returning to work too soon, I reached out to my doctor and she prepared a note for me stating I was at risk due to my medical condition. I immediately submitted the note to my supervisor, Sharon Millman. The response from my supervisor was, "Am I requiring leave or accommodation?" I responded to HR stating the doctor's note was submitted in case I'm asked to return to the office to work. Approximately a month later, the issue came up again when bottled water was needed for staff who are considered as essential workers. I was told my position was considered as other essential worker, and the guidance regarding high risk does not apply to other essential workers. I had to reach out to my doctor and inform her my supervisor did not accept her first note. Again, the second note was denied by Sharon. My question is, how can a supervisor override any doctor's note, especially stating that the patient is high risk due to medical conditions? My anxiety escalated, and I felt as though I was fighting for my life, fighting to avoid getting myself exposed to catching COVID. Same feeling as others, the worst case scenario, catching COVID and being placed on a ventilator or dying, not a good option. I'm making this statement to you regarding medical notes because there may be other employees who may have had the same experience throughout the Peralta system. In addition to the doctor's note, Sharon has changed duties between Stacy Lancaster and myself. When I started with DGS December 4, 2019, Stacy was responsible for sensitive accounts with large balances, such as Johnson Control, A1 Security, Granger, Kone, etc. On March 26, Sharon informed me by email all vendor accounts will be moved from Stacy to me, and she did not include Stacy in the email. I informed Sharon this would be a bad time to move sensitive accounts to me because of year-end deadlines, working from home, files are at the office, and I did not have the historical information Stacy had. Sharon's response, she was giving us enough time to transition the accounts. Between both Stacy and I, we were trying to pay invoices for fiscal 2019 to 20 and to reduce the upcoming liabilities list to finance. Unfortunately, while Stacy has been excluded in numerous sessions with accounts payables, we were not successful as I would have liked to be. The most difficult time I'm having is waiting for budget transfers, funding to pay invoices. Waiting weeks or months for funding is very stressful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Nzinga Dugas and Katrina King.
We'll move on to Katrina King. I don't see Nzinga in there.
Oh, she's
here. Vice President, I do not see, let's see here, 1 second.
Both of them.
Okay, we have Nzinga in there. Go ahead, Nzinga.
Thank you. Good evening, community and Board of Trustees. My name is Nzinga Duga, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Umoja Community Education Foundation. And I was most recently the inaugural director of the African American Female Excellence Initiative at the Oakland Unified School District. And prior to that, I served as the director of the African American Student Development Office at the University of California at Berkeley. However, though I've served those roles for more than 25 years, I'm here as a community servant leader who has worked on behalf of student freedom and success with an emphasis on Black and brown students and students of color for over 30 years. And I must say I'm deeply concerned about Black student success, particularly at Peralta, and have a personal connection and commitment to Peralta. I served as an adjunct at Merritt and Laney colleges, and my daughter is a successful graduate of Laney, now at a 4-year institution. She graduated at age 16, and Peralta served as a place for her to mature and identify what her contribution was going to be to her community. In fact, it grew her up, and I'm thankful for Lainey and Merritt in the Peralta system for that experience for my daughter and for me personally. More than that, Oakland has a rich history of Black civil rights and power movements. Serving now as the ED of Umoja and having a statewide view, I'm deeply concerned about the trajectory of African-American students. According to a study by the Campaign for College Opportunity, growing racial equity gaps obstruct the promise of educational opportunity for Black students and diminish the economic potential of our state. Further, we know that 63% of Black community college students do not earn a degree, certificate, or transfer within 6 years. In our own interview of our students who participated in a town hall most recently, they continue to indicate challenge experience in hostile classrooms and the lack of support for matriculation. At this moment, community, it is critical that Peralta make the right decisions to navigate these current rough waters. What does it mean to operate in our communities and still have these very low numbers for Black student success? I urge you to really think holistically about what we need to do to pull our communities together to ensure that all have access, equity, and opportunity, because that's what our ancestors required of us. I end by saying I stand on the voice of our ancestors, particularly Mary McLeod Bethune, who said, "The drums of Africa still beat my heart, and they will not let me rest while there's a single Black boy or girl without a chance to show his or her worth." We must stand on that ancestor's voice and move our community forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dugas. Let us go to Katrina King.
Greetings, President Bonilla and Acting Chancellor Walter and the entire board. Again, my name is Katrina King. I'm the Regional Coordinator of Umoja Community Educational Foundation for the Bay Area region, where I also have oversight of the Peralta District Schools. I'm also an Oakland native, and I too have been a student of Lainey and Merritt Crossing Road while I was in high school. I too am terribly concerned with the instability of leadership in this district and its impact on Black students. The Peralta District currently has about 50% of all of the African-American students in the Bay Area region, and a lot of them are definitely impacted and do participate in Umoja programming as well. According to our practices of intentional and deliberate, we just encourage you to make sure that as decisions are being made, that those students are kept in mind. We also would like to uplift the practice of mattering, in which it states, given the years of institutionalized educational inertia, which often includes potent doses of failure and disaffection, we are being asked to create learning experiences that reclaim mattering and give agency to our students as matters. So as you all continue to make decisions in terms of the direction of the Peralta District, we would definitely like to just keep that in mind and keep uplifting the voices of our students in all of our decisions and all of the things that we deliberate as we proceed. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. King. Chris Weidenbach and Lawrence Van Hook.
Hello, this is Chris Weidenbach. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I just got connected, like in a new way. I would like to encourage the board to consider ways to assist the 4 associated students' bodies, starting, I think, with their presidents. I hear when Michael Cooper has spoken at 2 meetings at least now, his sincere interest in reaching out and playing a facilitation role and really getting students to find channels for input. And I know that it's a very valuable experience for district administrators and board members to hear directly from students, to meet with them when you can actually come to the campuses and see what's going on and talk with people. And I think we can replicate some of that in this digital landscape. One idea I'd like to suggest is that the Peralta Student Council be revived. I believe it still exists. And for those who've never heard of it, it's the district-wide student senate that parallels our district-wide academic and classified senates. This might be one way to enhance student empowerment and engagement. As a DAS rep from Laney, I will ask our officers if it would be appropriate for the DAS presidents to join our August plenary. And if they say yes, of course, I hope they will come. If they say no, I'd be glad to assist the AS presidents in planning a plenary of their own to understand their proper position in shared governance, to realize the different ways they can harness power and cultivate greater engagement among the students who they serve. Of course, I would do this in conjunction with the directors of student activities and campus life at the 4 colleges. And again, just in case people don't know or forgot, those positions were established by the Peralta Student Council. I think it was in 2010 or 2012. I'm encouraged with some of the recent moves by the board to stick with some people who've been working with us well at the colleges. I don't want to name their names because I don't want to embarrass them. I kind of work for one of them pretty closely right now. And
Mr. Weidenbach, if I can just have you wrap up your comment, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
We have a ton of strength throughout our faculty and classified sectors and in the administration at the colleges. And if any positions need to be
Thank you, Mr.
staffed at the district, I hope we look to the colleges first. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next 2 speakers are Lawrence Van Hook and Anita Black.
Good evening to the trustees, chancellor, to the board. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. I think I probably need to start with my good news because I can't afford for it to get buried. And so I'm just so excited and so enthusiastic about sharing the good news of the Peralta African American graduation. I encourage the board, the faculty, administrators, staff, students, and the community to view Peralta's 12th first virtual celebration. It premiered last Saturday, July 25th, 2020. If you have not seen it, if you did not get the information, you can visit Peralta College's homepage to access the graduation, or you may view it on YouTube at Peralta College's 2020 African American graduation. I want to thank Mark Johnson and the people of Peralta for allowing us to put what I thought it was a phenomenal graduation together. So I think I better start with the good news because I'm just really concerned, and I want to talk about where we are in the district. As the president of the African American Association in Affairs, Dr. Lawrence Van Hook, I'm definitely concerned about the individuals or the individual board members that have been impeding the progress of the stability that we need in our district. I noticed that nobody has talked about our former chancellor with the resignation of Regina Steinbeck Strauss and the issues she outlined in her resignation. Number one, the interference and the fair, effective hiring practices, putting the district in legal jeopardy. I'm concerned about that. Exhibiting hostility and contempt toward administration, partly in a pattern of practice against African-American executive staffs. We had a board meeting on July 21st where Chancellor Stroud was placed on administrative leave following her resignation. The problem that I have, in addition to that, at the same meeting, the board took action to non-renew or eliminate the position of the Chief of Staff, General Counsel. This is just another example of anti-Black sentiments and actions that will impact funding one expenditures by increasing contractual litigation costs. In fact, Peralta African American Association Affairs, Paul, actually addressed the issues of racism toward the chancellor in a proclamation April 21st of this year at the board meeting. While some of our board members have stated that they are pro-labor, we want to go on record that Paul is pro-student. We believe that the failure to address the issues in a timely manner will continue to impact the enrollment and the achievement gap of African-American students and other students of color. I'm almost finished, if I can just close it out. And so we believe that this is a timely matter and we must deal with this current pandemic situation. And I'm asking that there is an immediate external investigation so that we can outline the resignation, address issues that Chancellor Steinbeck-Strauss addressed in her resignation letter.
I believe our next two speakers are Anita Black and Scott Behringer.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, very good. My name is Anita Black, and I'm a former manager and faculty at throughout the district, but last at Merritt College. I'm also a former officer and long-term member of the Peralta Association of African American Affairs. I'd like to speak to you regarding accreditation. We are concerned with the ability of the colleges to respond to the Accreditation Commission sanctions, particularly the sanction regarding the continual executive level and administrator turnover and the fiscal and academic health of the district. Paul has serious concerns regarding the actions taken by some members of the Board of Trustees to table recommended or recommendations of African American hires at recent board meetings. Furthermore, while personnel actions are and should be confidential, we are troubled and concerned about what seems to be a troubling pattern of these types of actions when it comes to the hire of African Americans. Another serious matter and potential violation of policies and procedures of the Accreditation Commission is the interference and undermining of the role of the district's executive leader and their ability to carry out responsibilities. This overstepping of the trustees' authority was cited before in previous findings from the Accrediting Commission. Remember, the colleges carry the weight of our accreditation status. However, the district and board of trustees directly impact the college's outcomes and status. Accreditation is a vital component of the academic senate responsibilities. Therefore, we want to encourage the district academic senate to renew its commitment and focus on the primary mission and responsibilities 10+1 as outlined in Title V, and to continue to address the FitMap issues related to funding priorities, the development of the associate degrees for transfer, and updates to existing curriculum, namely certificates and associate degrees. I want to close out by saying our accreditation status and current situation does not appear to be on solid ground. For our students and community, we need to ensure we move our accreditation status in the positive direction, allowing our students to accomplish their objectives and continue receiving their financial aid. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Black. Let us go on to our last two, Scott Behringer and Ramona Butler.
Ms. Butler, go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good evening, President Bonilla, members of the board, Acting Chancellor Walter, and presidents of the Peralta Community Colleges and guests. My name is Ramona Butler. I'm the EOPS Care Coordinator at Berkeley City College. Yay, Berkeley. However, today I'm here to speak as the Vice President and Executive Committee member on behalf of the Peralta Association of African American Affairs, PA, about students. Our students. The success of all students is important. I'm so sorry, I have dogs here, I'm so sorry. The success of all students is important. PA is expressly concerned about the success of African and African American students, especially in relation to issues that must be addressed due to the current pandemic environment. First, I have questions. First, in light of the absence of a permanent CEO, who is driving the focus on our students? More importantly, how will district faculty, administrators, and staff execute specified plans for virtual teaching and learning in fall 2020? How will virtual teaching and learning plans be communicated to internal and external constituencies? What resources will be made available to students, faculty, and staff to support virtual learning? When and how will those resources become available? What will be the budget? How will student orientations change to meet the challenges of virtual teaching and learning and adequate student support services? What plans have been made to ensure reliable and consistent communications with students, with faculty and staff across all 4 colleges? Who's responsible and accountable for creating those communications? Data indicates that the academic success of African American students is hindered and decreases in a distance learning environment. What actions will be taken to support and measure rates of persistence and retention and academic performance of African American students? What are the plans for training new and returning students and faculty for teaching and learning in a virtual environment? I'd like to close by saying that this COVID-19 remote learning reality has been a trial and a challenge for us all. If we remain student focused and work together instead of being fragmented, we can show that the Peralta Community College District is prepared to educate no matter the challenge, with updated curriculum and exceptional student services. By doing that, students will continue to seek us out for academic success and transfer opportunities now and into the future. Thank you for your time and consideration. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Butler. And our last speaker for the evening is Scott Behringer.
Good evening, everybody. Been a lot of pretty speeches tonight. This isn't likely to be one of them. I'm here primarily in support of the resolutions from Richard Thole from earlier, supporting my 1021 Local 39 brothers and sisters. I spoke earlier to the board regarding several of the safety issues that have been going on at my campus. As the assistant chief, it's one of my primary duties to find those issues and report them, which I have done faithfully. And having spoken with the board and a variety of people, I'm just completely blown away at how little reaction and response there has been. It seems just almost negligent. And so I'm just here to put all that right out there on Front Street for everybody to understand. Like, we are putting staff and students at risk without fail. And I'm hoping that maybe somebody will actually take some action. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam President, we are at the end of our public speakers, and that is all we have for the evening.
Thank you for that. And thank you to all the speakers who came out to share this evening. We'll move to item 2.11, Chancellor's Report. Chancellor Walter.
Thank you very much. President Bonilla, Board of Trustees, presidents, colleagues, and committed members of the Peralta community, thank you so much for being here tonight. And I appreciate everyone who has a passion for and a desire to support Peralta Community College District. And I am also very honored to serve the district in support of our students. So tonight, my report is going to be somewhat brief, and then we'll go into having the college president's reports. I want to just say that we've been working diligently to continue to align our focus to be directly upon our students. And we are in the process at this moment of continuing to work diligently with the accreditation needs that we have in terms of meeting our standards and providing the reports that are being asked of our district through our colleges or through the board and through our district offices. And we intend to present very strong reports that indicate the evidence that we have and to also cite our progress. So to that end, we have our plans and our meetings and all of our deliverables and timelines very well outlined, and we are definitely excited about being able to meet those standards. I also want to just take a moment to say that we are beginning our planning for our participatory governance structures for the fall and spring semesters. We're planning our PBIM summit. We're putting together our master calendars, and we're reaching out to our collective bargaining units to open dialogues. And so I'm very excited about moving forward with those activities. And just to make a note that we are, in fact, extending the collegial presidential searches for both campuses so that they will extend into the fall when our faculty have returned from their summer. So we're really taking those things to heart and moving forward. In terms of our administrative directions, we held our internal administrators meeting last week, and we discussed all of the plans that we have to continue moving forward with our marketing activities, looking forward to our technology pushes, making sure that all of our human resource needs are being met and addressed in terms of adhering to practices and procedures, and that I'm really proud of. And so we even have people who are excited about the direction that the district is moving in, and having their commitment be reignited. To the point of our current situation with reopening, we've been in dialogue about what our other sister colleges and districts are doing up and down the state, and we're working together with them and being very mindful of the directions that we're being given by our professionals. And so we are going to be presenting an announcement tomorrow, most likely, about our plans for fall and likely plans for spring. But we are being very cautiously, we're very cautious in moving forward. So you'll see that'll be coming out very soon. So you'll also see that one of our items is to discuss our figma draft report. And we are very pleased that we've been able to craft this report. And there's been a lot of individuals who have contributed to that report. That is a group effort, as you can imagine, because it takes all of the figma findings and addresses each one and makes recommendations, talks about what's been done so far. So I am just really, really excited to be able to be here at this moment. I feel very grateful to have the opportunity to serve Peralta Community College District. And I'm looking forward to working together to move us forward to achieve the ends that really focus on our students in cultivating that sense of stability and, you know, continuing to create an intellectually stimulating environment and being able to come to the table and talk about different issues. So with that, if it's okay, I'd like to move into our president's reports. And so I'm gonna ask, I've been toying with this in my mind, but I think I'm gonna go with Merritt College first, and then we'll end with Laney, just because of the great.
Okay, Acting Chancellor, I like your style. Thank you very much.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to give this Board of Trustees report from Merritt College. Earlier this month, Harborside announced a $10,000 charitable contribution to our Peralta College's foundation for the express purpose of supporting students enrolled in Merritt's cannabis certification program. Now, this gift will fund efforts to provide prospective professionals with a comprehensive portfolio of skills and business expertise. Now, just a little bit about Harborside. Harborside was founded in 2006 with the commitment to rectifying the social and racial inequalities specific to the cannabis industry in its surrounding communities. So the company has pledged to fund future scholarships at Merritt and lend its own retail, cultivation, and business expertise to inform our curriculum development among our faculty. And by virtue of this partnership, we anticipate that our graduates will leave our program with a significant competitive advantage over their counterparts in the industry. So to that end, I want to take a moment, especially to thank Ms. Lanice Jones and Ms. Patricia Brooks for helping us to cultivate this relationship. Other good news, several months ago, Merritt College began its support of the City of Oakland's bid for the Transformative Climate Communities Implementation Grant. Specifically, we worked with Ms. Marsha Murrington, who serves as the Fuse Core Executive Advisor for Oakland's Economic and Workforce Development Division. Now, our application with Oakland focused on providing accessible, high-quality education and training specifically to the residents of East Oakland, and that aligns directly with our goals of being Merritt being the community's college. And as such, we were also committed to partnering with the Black Cultural Zone Community Development Corporation in support of this application. I'm happy to report that 4 cities that were the finalist cities, 4 cities statewide, Richmond, Riverside, and Stockton were the others, that our application, Oakland's application, received the highest score. And we were the only city to, receive a full award of $28.2 million. Now, that's not all coming to Merritt, but $28.2 million, which is good news. That's news we can use. So right now we're in the process of awaiting the completion of the post-award consultation guidelines so we can start getting to work. But in the meantime, this is just really, it's a big cause for celebration. It's a big deal. And speaking of big deals, recently we learned that Denise Richardson, who tonight was approved to be our interim vice president of instruction, she completed the requirements to earn her doctorate in educational leadership from Mills College. And her dissertation is titled, let me get this straight, The Science of Success, a Narrative Inquiry into the Experience of Black American males who completed STEM degree programs at Muse Community College. And what I find particularly impressive about this accomplishment, is, aside from the nature of the scholarship, is that she completed this EDD while working tirelessly every day here at Merit. So I just want everyone to join me in congratulating Dr. Denise Richardson. And that's the report from Merit College.
Thank you so much, Dr. Johnson. Congratulations, Dr. Richardson. Wonderful. All right. Dr. Garcia?
Thank you, Dr. Walter. Good evening. Buenas tardes, everyone. Congratulations, Dr. Richardson. Hopefully you're getting to read some materials that are not peer-reviewed journals and cited in multivariate study analyses. Really, congratulations. It brings me great honor this evening, trustees, community members, colleagues, to provide just some additional comments. So as our our report to the board, you have some detailed highlights of Berkeley City College, but I want to take a moment to start with the work related to centering students. At the last board meeting, I shared that we were going to be hosting a student forum led by students for students. That forum took place about a week and a half ago and gave much opportunity for students to voice what they're experiencing during this pandemic, opportunity for students to come together in allyship and community to acknowledge the impact that is not just the health pandemic, but certainly around issues of racial injustice, and gave us at the college and myself as the president a lot of great insight into what it is that we should continue to do to support students during this time. They had much to say and offer regarding the availability and the support that they're receiving of faculty and classified professionals and administrators. And so while their remarks of the intentional levels of support that they're receiving, they also did share ways that we can improve. And so in a moment, I'm going to offer how we've put some of those immediately into action. I really want to thank our Director of Student Activities, John Nguyen, for serving in the capacity of providing leadership to our associated students leaders in that forum. I would also like to share, and this is something that's not unique to Berkeley City College. You know that the 4 colleges have been involved in food distributions, and so I think it's important to note that we continue to do that. On Mondays, it's grocery distribution, and on Fridays, it's the prepared meals. And our Student Services Division, led by Vice President Shears, has really offered high levels of support. And again, just offering another connection point. I want to take a moment to note that Ramona Butler is also a regular volunteer, and that every moment with food distribution, it's a chance for us to check in with students and see how they're doing. So appreciating whatever contact we can have with students. Want to also share that we're going to be rolling out some online express registrations for students. This was one of the supports or additional requests that we received during the student forum. And so I'm excited that the team has been responsive and is going to be offering at various times, various modalities, express registration for new students and continuing students. The idea here is really to center students getting information on their academic and career goal interests and getting them into our courses and supporting fall enrollment. And I really want to highlight here that our partnership, our summer partnership with Berkeley High School, so Skylar Barton, as one of our faculty members who's been involved with that, has yielded great connection within the community. I'm very excited to share that led by some of our faculty members, Susan Kahn and the Professional Development Committee, our opening Flex Day is proving to be a well-rounded professional development for faculty, classified professionals, and administrators. There is a focus on continuing to support online and distance education, but more importantly, really framing that with equity and racial justice. And I know Trustee Brown in the past has shared some of the efforts that a colleague from across the state, Mr. Lasana Hotep, has provided on league trainings. And so we are excited to have him work with us on that day. I think my connection's unstable here, but I'm going to keep rolling. Lastly, just want to share great progress with accreditation. So our ALO Vice President Cooney Hay faculty member Charlotte Lee and the team. Recent conversations this past week have really been around the continued work of Guided Pathways as part of our quality focus essay and ramping up our online services in support of students. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that it seems like the summer has been just about potentially the pandemic or figuring out what we're doing for the fall. But as you can see or hear, there's much work underway. And I do want to take a moment to acknowledge Vice Chancellor Siri Brown and her leadership to support not only the work around distance education, but also in keeping our accreditation process rolling. So thank you so much, Vice Chancellor Brown, for your leadership and support. And with that, that concludes my remarks, Dr. Walter. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. And so now let's move to Dr. Miller.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Board of Trustees, Chancellor, and all other guests this evening. I'm happy to give a report for the College of Alameda, and I look forward to continuing to work with the board and other leadership while we search for a permanent president of the college. A couple of major elements to focus on this week from my report is the great work that's been done around our HSI grant initiative. As you may remember, the College of Alameda was awarded last year a nearly $3 million Hispanic Serving Institutions grant that has and will continue to include the work of faculty, staff, and administrators who are making great and significant process in implementing the 2 new student support programs at College of Alameda. Both of them are Acceso and Puente. And just kind of as for your information, Acceso stands for Adelante con Comunidad, Excelencia, Sabiduría y Oportunidad. So forward with community, excellence, knowledge, and opportunity. Acceso or access. So we're excited for this amazing opportunity to serve our Latinx students, friends, their families. We'll be building out a room in the D building for the Acceso Center, which will be a place for students to gather, hold club meetings and activities, participate in academic tutoring and smart shops. The smart shops will focus on multiple points of academic success in support of the students, and will be led often by faculty mentors in helping students in various aspects of their academic careers at the college. Students will be able to attend events in the center offered by community-based organizations on a wide variety of topics that are planned so far, such as legal rights, health and wellness, employment, arts and culture, access to academic and community resources. They can meet with a counselor, their instructors, or peer mentors as well in the remodeled center there. They also launched the Smart Shop series that I mentioned, which will begin this summer with 5 online smart shops that help students learn to navigate the Peralta portal, Peralta student email, Zoom, and Canvas. And as they move into the future, they'll focus on more elements of academic success, transfer, civic engagement, career development, and so forth. And lastly, that HSI team has attended recently a 4-day online training that supports the implementation of Puente at College of Alameda. So we're excited to have that moving forward. We're also excited that the HSI grant and the HSI team is also able to collaborate with Umoja program on campus in the future. And they'll work on the cross-section of Afro-Latinx identities on campus and be able to support also one of their sister communities on campus, student learning communities. So it's very exciting. We've got 15 students enrolled in the Puente program so far, and we're looking forward to having approximately 35 students for fall. Another recent event, we were excited to have a collaboration between the administrative team at the college, who met recently with the College of Alameda chapter of the Peralta Association for African American Affairs, to discuss future efforts towards greater racial justice on campus for students, faculty, staff, and administrators. We'll be working on throughout this upcoming year campus-wide reading and discussion of articles around the 1619 project, including bi-monthly brown bag discussions, flex day activities, discussion in 2021 of infusing the new educational master plan with racial and social justice elements, especially as we look to any updates needed to the mission, vision, and values of the college. So we're excited to begin that collaborative work. And I'll leave it at that, just mentioning one correction to my report on the community meals program. One of the notes, it notes that we pass out 2,600 meals a week, nearly 230 produce boxes. One note is that the $26,000 is per week that goes from that program into local restaurants in the community. They are paid by the various foundations that support the program. They are paid $10 a meal to support that. So it's infusing a lot of income into our local community, and it's able to support our local campus community and the community at large. It's amazing to see the amount of faculty, staff, especially our staff leaders and our administrators and students that are passing out those meals 3 times a week. So I'll end my report there for now and look forward to continuing to serve the college in this role. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. And then let's move to Dr. Besakoff from Laney College.
Good evening. I would first like to begin by saying that I'm humbled and honored by this opportunity. Certainly, when I reflect on just the people at Laney who've been so supportive of me since I first came 2 years ago, and also just the incredible network that I've had since I began my journey in community college. If I truly did justice, this board meeting would go probably until 3 or 4 in the morning. So I'll just say that I'm very humbled and grateful for this opportunity, and really look forward to this chance we all have to serve students under the most extraordinary of circumstances. So with that out of the way, I'll just go ahead and say that my first update tonight is actually breaking news. I'm very pleased to announce that Laney College is actually adding a 3rd day to its weekly food distribution efforts. The meals and the produce boxes, which have been distributed on Mondays and Wednesdays, will now also be distributed on Thursdays, with all 3 days, the hours being from 12 to 2 o'clock, or as long as food is available. So far, we've had 27 distribution days. We've distributed 9,760 meals, handed out 2,009 produce boxes, and within all of that, we've served 3,114 of our students as of the end of last week. This has been an incredible effort, and I have to again extend thanks to our team at Laney that has made this happen, but also to the World Central Kitchen and the 116 Oakland area restaurants that we can truly call our partners. Laney College's English for Speakers of Other Languages students have been benefiting since spring from a new process that I'd like to tell you about tonight. In the past, and I give this bit of context, having been an ESL faculty member myself for 22 years, unlike the traditional process of coming in, taking a test, and then being told which class to go to, our students have been benefiting in a much different way. It's a new process that features an enhanced orientation and then an innovative assessment process that has them as truly active participants as they reconcile the class and that they should be best placed into. The term around the state we often hear is guided self-placement. And it really introduces the students not just to a test, but to the college itself and its services. And then prior to any sort of assessment activity taking place, students actually see the complete offering of courses within our ESOL program, see the content in the courses, and through that and then through their own self-assessment, determine the level of English that is best for them to test into. Being better informed as such and playing a more active role in choosing the level that fits their needs, they go through a process that is absent test anxiety, which we have seen time and again has proven to be a barrier. And more importantly, they become engaged and invested in their own educational experience, far beyond what students in the past might have been. Now, of course, March 2020, things changed for all of us. Certainly with, having to basically not have a physical campus. But our team at Laney, the ESOL faculty, our student services professionals, and our webmaster pivoted on this new circumstance to turn this process to something that is fully available online. Despite that, the values of personal attention remain for our ESOL students. And this is something that I'm so proud of. And for our students and potential students out there, I'll just let you know that if you're interested, you can access by going through our Welcome Center webpage or our ESOL webpage. And both of those are one click away from laney.edu. My next update has to do with a great program that's complementing our distribution of Chromebooks, the loaner program we've been doing at Laney College. It's called Keeping Students Connected, and I wanted to provide you an update. This is a program that does not loan, but actually gives computers and internet service to students who are eligible OUSD graduates. So I wanted to provide an update, and this certainly would not be happening without the incredible support from the Stupsky Foundation, yet another partner to Laney College. To date, we've given free internet to 154 students, and we have the capacity to give to potentially 600 more, and we're so excited about that. Moreover, the 6 months free internet that was available to students is now 12 months. And this is something where students don't have to come to campus to pick it up or juggle a work schedule or whatever it might be. The computers are actually mailed to them. So this is an incredible opportunity, and we're just getting started. And I'm so looking forward to coming back and telling you when we hit that 750 number with that. So finally, for my last point tonight that I'd like to share, I mentioned earlier the successful efforts made to have our students placed into classes remotely and how that's been working. But what about the classes that are being offered remotely, especially the ones that don't lend themselves to perhaps the online classroom at first pass? I'd like to really I think this is a treat tonight. I'd like to show you some of the great learning that's taking place in Professor Victor Su's Chinese orchestra class. This is part of a program that is for musicians of all ages. And what I'm about to share this evening comes from an ensemble that is called the Great Wall Youth Orchestra. And I'll be sharing it with you right now. was ashamed to have to stop, but anyway. It should be noted that Laney's music program is the only one in the nation that has a Chinese orchestra, and really have to tip the cap in addition to our department chair, John Rieger, and just to let you know that this orchestra has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, and past orchestras have actually visited the White House. This is yet one more example of how community, our residents of Oakland, our faculty, our staff, and our administrators represent the greatness that drives Laney College. This concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vesikoff. And President Bonilla, that concludes the chancellor's reports.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all 4 college presidents. What an amazing reports you always have prepared for us. So I really want to acknowledge and appreciate that. Can I turn this back over to, before we move into informational items, I want to turn it back over quickly to Vice President Reese.
Yes. My apologies, and I'm just asking all of you to indulge me. I failed to do this earlier as it was a fairly long list to read out from closed session, but I just wanted to ensure that I took a second to shout out and congratulate each and every individual who has stepped up in responsibility and position. Royal Roberts, Donald Miller, Rudolph Besikoff, Dr. Denise Richardson, Chris Foster, Adil Ahmed, and of course, Carla Walters. Thank you all.
Thank you for that. That was an important message we wanted to get out from the board. So we will move into informational items. And the first item we have is 3.1, review of the financial statements and cash flow summary. Chancellor Walter.
Thank you, President Bonilla. So what we have before the board today and the community is a summary report of our financial statements, those being our cash flows and our, I call it variance report, so year-to-date report, and these are as of, let's see here, June 30th. So our revenue and expenses, the district's revenue as of June 30th was $178,060,579, which was approximately 82% of the actual general fund revenues received. Our expenses were $178,060,579, or 87.4% of expenses and encumbrances. In terms of our cash flow, our projected ending balance of June 30th was $4,425,920. And then on average, the district's cash disbursements total $11,853,216. And our cash receipts total $11,749,536 each month. However, our cash balance at the point of this report was lower due to deferred revenues of about $5.5 million at the time of this report. And that those deferrals are based on the way in which the the May revise and the way that the Governor's Budget Act came about. So these are presented for information. I know that the board and the district, and as part of our fiscal health and analysis, we're preparing quarterly statements for presentation to the board. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, President Bonilla.
Thank you for that. I think these are quarterly reports that the board has requested. And if there are any comments from the board, or we can move to the next informational item, which is review the figma fiscal health analysis tool as of July 7th, 2020, Chancellor.
Thank you. And once again, this report, this is a tool that's provided by figma that can be accessed and is used to assess the fiscal and financial health of a community college district and or K-12 district. And the board, and with input from advisors, would like to have a quarterly report again on our figma indicator, and that's what this report is. Everyone may recall that when we began, or when the district began the process, the figma indicator was indicating that the district was really at high risk, at a 67% risk factor. And we, as was mentioned earlier by someone, the district and the board has brought that risk down considerably, and it is now sitting at, as of the date of this report, which was July 6th, has brought it down to a consistent 5.3. So we're doing, as of the date of this report, we're in positive shape according to this indicator. And this report again is quarterly, timed with the financial statement reports. Back to you, President.
Yes, it looks like we have Trustee Brown is in the queue. I think you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, unmuted. Yeah, I wanted to congratulate the district regarding the reduction of the figma score. I think we have to be aware and really honest about the fact that we had leadership of our former chancellor that got us there. And we want to make sure that in going forward, we don't undo any of the advances that were made. We have a revised budget on the agenda, and we have decisions to make going forward that are related to fiscal solvency and fiscally prudent actions. And we had a lot of contentious moments as reflected in the chancellor's letter, and it wouldn't be honest for us to not be aware that her work was done with a lot of difficulty and with a lot of struggle. And so for us to say that this is great, it's fine, and forget that she was just there at the last board meeting and now she's not, is not really being responsible in terms of thought and practice. And so I think that we have to acknowledge going forward that we're going to need to keep the advances that were made under our prior leadership, because we will be back in the same cycle that happens when we get a chancellor. We make advances like we got off of accreditation under Laguerre. We had a budget balanced by Romanier Johnson, and we went right back into crisis. We are in a cycle where we get a chancellor, we have difficulty, we get out of it. If we don't change our behavior, we'll be right back in that cycle. So I want to remind us that we're at the precipice again of another opportunity to go forward without repeating our past behavior.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Do I have any other trustees in the queue? I'd also like to add that this particular figma update from this tool is one of a few that have been done. And if you go to the Peralta website, you can see the progression of this. So we did not just go from a figma score of 69 to a figma score of 5 in just one fell swoop. There has been a progress over time that this has taken place. So if there are no further questions, we can move on. And thank you, Chancellor, for providing both of these items as information to the board and the viewing public. We'll go ahead and we'll go to item 4.1, review as first reading of a proposed figma status report. Chancellor, would you like to give some context for this?
Sure, thank you. The figma status report is a report to figma that outlines the progress that has been made in regard to the recommendations that figma and others have made over the last period of time. I believe the installation of the figma analysis was perhaps a year ago. So I see here May 19th, so the Board of Governors meeting featured this agenda as a fiscal health monitoring and Peralta Community College District, and Vice Chancellor Lizette Navarrete, and our fiscal monitor, Jim Austin, the board president, Bonilla, and former Chancellor Stanback Stroud presented an update to the Board of Governors on the progress of Peralta's leadership and has made what we've done to address the fiscal crisis and management assistance team review, which was last summer, June of 2019. So this report that is presented here as a first reading is one that will, we're asking the board members to read the report and be ready to come back at our next board meeting as an action item to accept the report, provide any, between now and agendizing it again for second read, for any kind of feedback or questions or any sort of additional information you would like to see addressed, because the report is specific to each of the items coming to us through figma and its standards. So I would maybe ask President Bonilla to instruct us in terms of how that feedback should be presented.
Most definitely. I mean, as a first reading, the opportunity here is that the trustees, along with myself, have an opportunity to provide you with direct input. And when this item comes back to us in September, you will have had, hopefully from each one of the trustees and myself, a full range of input, suggestions and comments, and we'll definitely be working in tandem with you. I think the feedback, and that feedback obviously will be shared from the board at the next reading.
Thank you, and I do want to just take a moment to acknowledge that as Trustee Brown mentioned, there has been a lot of effort put into this report, and it was under the leadership of our prior chancellor to help craft this report, and many of our colleagues and partners at the district have contributed to this report. So it is definitely a group effort. So thank you for that.
And Chancellor, I might add that do we have a specific timeline that we are looking to bring this updated report either back to the State Chancellor's office? I think we need probably a little more clarity from the State Chancellor on if there is a timeline that they're looking at. Does it say that it's for the September 15th? Is that when it's going back to the State Chancellor's office?
I believe that the September 15th date is for our board.
For this,
right?
For our board. Okay.
That's correct. I don't have any information about what's needed for the the state chancellor's office.
Fantastic. So as a first reading, then what I would encourage all of our trustees to do is that for our next meeting in September, that we come back in open session to engage in deeper dialogue on this figma report, since it is the first reading. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll move to the consent calendar. Well, before I move to the consent calendar, do I have any other trustees who have any comments on the first reading of the figma? And seeing none, that means that I'm expecting that all of our comments will come back at our next board meeting. We'll go ahead and we'll move to the yes.
If I can be recognized for just a quick second.
Yes, Trustee Gonzalez.
Thank you. Just in terms of protocol then, so I'm sure various members of the board, as we're going through, will have questions or thoughts. Is it your preference that we hold those thoughts until our next meeting, or would you like us to begin communicating those thoughts, not as direction, of course, but as reflection to the Chancellor directly and CCU and Vice President?
Well, I think that
process that
for
you're
clarity,
asking for here.
Right. I think for clarity, we need to engage in this dialogue, whether it's through deliberation or feedback in open session. So it was my mistake to ask that trustees submit emails. And so I think the appropriate way for us to engage in the first read is through active dialogue and deliberation in open session. So we can provide, if you have comments that you'd like to share now, and when it comes back as a second read, we can engage deeper in additional comments, since this is a first read.
Okay. Just trying to clarify what you were asking for. Thank you very much.
Sure. Chancellor, does that work for you?
It does. It's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll move to consent calendar. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Madam President, I'd like to move 6.3 and 7.1 out of the consent calendar to the action. And with that, I'd move approval of the balance of the consent calendar.
Can you repeat? Yeah, I'm sorry, 6.3 and
7.1.
Okay, so for the record, 6.3, 7.1 has been removed into action. And so,
and I've moved the balance of the consent calendar.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll take we have a motion to approve. And did I hear a second on that?
Yes, I seconded.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and do roll call.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Handy?
Yes, but I'm trying to switch over to my computer where I have more notes. So there may be something else that I wanted to bring up for discussion.
Thank you. Trustee Gonzalez, you won?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia Bella-Reese?
Yes.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. And President Bonilla, we do need to, I do need to take roll call again on that vote for the action item, or excuse me, for the
action item. Yes, because we have an amended agenda now. Yes.
Thank you.
So I need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Weinstein, and roll call, please.
Thank you, Trustee Weinstein. Excuse me, Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia Bellarice?
Yes.
Thank you. And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. I'll move us to action item 6.3. Consider approval of change order number 5 to the construction agreement with OHO Technologies, Inc. for the Laney College, Merritt College, and District Administrative Center for emergency blue phones project, bid number 17-18/06, to approve an expenditure from the board, approve contingency in the amount of $96,343.48, and memorialize a non-compensable time extension of 575 days to the agreement. Trustee Withrow.
I just have a simple question having to do with Berkeley and Alameda. And it may have been covered in some report in the past, but I couldn't recall it. When are we going to start those two colleges? What kind of a timeline are we going to have?
I will defer that question to Chancellor Walter.
Thank you very much. And Vice Chancellor Sada would please respond.
Thank you, Chancellor. Trustee Withrow, that project is just finishing the selection process for the designer. And the specific scope of work will be to do the blue light phones at the College of Alameda, some interior phones at Berkeley City College, and phase 2 of phones that were never completed at Merritt College and Laney College.
So at what point in time are we going to have them completed? What is the goal, if you will, the timeline?
I believe that, well, we'll have to go back out to bid once we have the design team selected. So I'd say we'll be out to bid in about a half a year, and construction could then start after that.
Okay.
But that's a very rough estimate.
All right. What is the 575-day issue?
So that is a holdover from an old contract, and we simply just needed to extend the contract in order to close out the project, which is what's happening now. And I believe this extension will take us far enough, to catch up so that we can close out the project. That's why it's non-compensable. Okay. We want to have an active contract in that time frame.
All right. Thank you. Move approval.
I have Trustee Handy in the queue.
I have a question. Unfortunately, I can't flip screens, but so this is for new blue phones. Is that correct? Can someone respond to me?
Certainly answer.
Go ahead, DC Sada, I'm sorry.
Sure. Thank you, President Bonilla. Trustee Handy, this is the phase 1 closeout. So that was the first phase of the blue light phone project, and we still have to do phase 2.
Okay. So my question was, and I'm sorry, it's the flipping screens doesn't really work for me here, but I was looking at, we now have 96. We have this, okay, it's a change order, but what were the funds that we had already allocated for phones? Is this an upgrade of the phones we already had? How do we jump from what we had already allocated up to another $96,000? That's what I could not understand. Okay, so we had approved in a contingency amount of $96,000. And so are we now still on that same amount? I'm not understanding what's going on here. And unfortunately, when my battery went down, I lost my notes. So if you could just kind of fill me in on that, that would be great.
Sure. I'm sorry, Trustee. What the original contract had a 10% contingency within it, and that contingency was not being used by the construction management team. In their cleanup of the paperwork, they realized that the contingency had not been spent, and subsequently this final change order is being tagged against that original contingency. So the net result of this change order is actually a credit back to the college of $27,630.
Okay. All right. That makes more sense. Thank you for answering that question.
Sure. I apologize for the lack of clarity.
If there are no further questions, Trustee Weinstein.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that I did totally understand this, that the blue phones at Merritt College are going to be worked on, or they have been worked on?
The first phase, the first scope, is complete, and they all work. They have been tested and they're working. But there were several blue light phones at both Merritt and at Laney that also still need to be replaced, and that is considered phase 2 of the project.
Okay, so when you say they all work, and then you say that some don't, am I missing it?
I'm sorry. So the first set of phones that were part of this first scope, that scope of work is complete, and those phones work.
Okay.
But there are a few phones or locations that need to be fixed still.
Okay. Do you know how many?
In very round numbers, I believe it's approximately 15 at Laney, and I want to say about 10 to 12 at Merritt College. And at COA, there are no phones currently, and they're going to be putting in a new system.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for working on this, and I appreciate that we're trying to move forward. I do want to say that I continue to worry about not having the blue phones totally working. When I first came aboard, having visited Merritt College and speaking with students there, they were concerned about that. So I know you're working on it, but if we could like quicken it up a little bit, that would be really appreciated, because I want these students to stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. We got it. We will do that, Trustee Weinstein.
Okay.
If there are no further questions, we'll go ahead and take a roll call on the item.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yeah.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia Bella-Reese?
Yes.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll move to item 7.1, consider ratification of the warrant payment report for the period covering June 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2020. Trustee Withrow.
I just have a simple question here. Among the multitude of items, 63 pages and 50 apiece, we're talking 3,000 items here. That don't get they have to be ratified by the board. There's an item, $150,000 that went to the Peralta Foundation. What was that?
Thank you for that question, Trustee Withrow. That was a contribution from the Chancellor's office under a particular MOU that was put in place some time ago. So that's about all the information I have on that item.
Well, thank you. Is this was this approved by the board? I don't recall ever seeing that. And I'm a little concerned, not necessarily a critic here of myself and as a representative of the board, but of the public, because this is a public document. And if they see that funds are going to a charitable foundation, on what basis can we take taxpayer money and put it into the foundation?
So what I would offer to you and the other board members and the community is that if you would allow, we can pull up, not right this moment, but over time, the MOU that governs that, and we can see what, we can bring it out into the light. That's not something that I was privy to.
Okay. Trustee Withrow, I'm sorry, I allowed you to start to speak on the item before it was properly motioned and seconded. Can I have a motion to approve this item, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have Trustee Handy in the queue on this item.
Unmute. Okay. The Bill's question, I'm sorry, I missed the first part. What was the amount that you had said for the foundation?
150,000.
Well, you do realize that that we have subsidized the foundation going back way before Ortiz. When the first from in the beginning, the foundation was just faculty member, staff, and they raised the first $1 million. After that, when we went to looking for a director, we separated out from the foundation for a while. And then we brought them back in. And when we brought them back in, we've subsidized at higher amounts than that. But now that the foundation is doing so well, this is a much smaller amount than we normally have done. But this is supporting staff and the housing and all of that. But this is not a new practice. So if they want to pull the information up for you to look at it, that's fine. But I also want to say that our foundation is in the best shape that it's ever been in under new leadership and members. And the work that they're doing is incredible, and the fundraising that they're doing is really incredible. And I'll actually be hitting all of my trustees up for their donations to the foundation as well. But I said, if you want to familiarize yourself with that, fine. But this is not a practice that just happened. And I think at one point we subsidized maybe at 500 some time ago when we were first building it. So, but I did have another question, Jelena. I had raised my hand for something else, and that was to see if I could ask a question on item 6.4. Is that
can I finish? Can we finish this item?
We can
here.
We can.
Yeah, let's finish 7.1.
Okay.
If there are no further questions on 7.1, and Chancellor, it might be good for us to just do a little research and make sure that we have the appropriate background on those donation amounts that are made to the foundation.
Sure.
So let's go ahead and do roll call on this item. It's been properly motioned.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes, and actually I recall under Ortiz, we reduced the amount that was going to the foundation. So that's a yes.
Thank you. Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Napolia-Bellaris?
Yes.
Thank you. And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Let's go through the rest of action items. We have action 8.1, consider approval of the Peralta Community College District 2020-2021 tentative budget. May I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We do have a second. And we will open for discussion. Trustee Brown.
Yeah, I had submitted my questions ahead of time, and I still have some concerns because this is not the same budget that we received the budget workshop on and that we received to ask questions on. I think if there's a change, in the interest of transparency and fiscal responsibility, we need to know what that is. I went through it and I noticed that there were some changes with regard to some of the, there were some funds moved from one section to another. There were some adjustments made, but I would really like to not have to sort of be not, I would like to have the same opportunity that we, in the same process we utilized in the first instance that the budget was presented, rather than do sort of a review, an independent review and spot check. I think that when we're doing something as important as a budget in this climate of fiscal review and fiscal reform, that if there's a revised budget, that we provide the same opportunity that we did the first time it was presented, so that we are sure that we understand all the changes and so that the public can see how its business is being performed.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Chancellor, would you like to comment?
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Brown, for your comments. I would offer to you that this is a tentative budget, and the differences between the study session or what have you are such that it takes into consideration changes relative to what we receive from the Budget Act. And in fact, we will be submitting a final budget and putting together a study session that will allow us to have time to work with the board, work with the participatory governance groups to really look at our adopted budget to move us forward in the fall. The tentative budget is an operating budget. It allows us to continue to operate the district over the course of the summer when we are in the process of finalizing the adopted budget. To your point, I do understand and would take into consideration, some process where we could look at, this is what you've seen in what's today, July 28th, and the adopted budget will show these are the differences. So I do appreciate that, and we'll take that as a direction.
I'm sorry, can I ask one more question? So you're saying that those are CARES Act, the changes reflect the CARES Act and nothing else?
I don't think I said that.
So that I misunderstood. The changes reflect the money that was received from the Budget Act. So if we're saying Budget Act, are we talking about Prop 98?
So when we received the Budget Act update from the governor, there were a number of changes in terms of revenue assumptions. And so those are incorporated, but those were discussed at our last rendition of the budget. So I think maybe what I was saying to you is when we move to the adopted budget, we will have more definitive answers. We will have the August revise if that comes out. And if it's prudent or expeditious, we can do a difference, show a difference between what the governor's signed budget was for June 30th and what the changes would be in the future with the August revise. But even having said that, we may be in a situation as we move forward, especially because we're in the COVID-19 pandemic environment, but in general, to review the adopted budget and take into consideration any changes that may be impacting the district. So that's a long way around me saying I take in consideration your point, and I appreciate you for bringing it up, that you would like to see a comparative, perhaps, I'm thinking of, an Excel spreadsheet that shows side-by-side differences, if that would be helpful as we move into the adopted budget. The other thing I think I said, or I at least intended to say, was that it is my hope that as we move forward through the beginning of the semester and ahead of adopting the final budget, that we will be able to work more closely with having a study session and having, when the participatory governance groups return to campuses, to have their input through the PBC and PBIM and so forth. That's what I was trying to articulate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Thank you for that question and follow-up. Are there any other trustees in the queue? Trustee Withrow.
I look at a budget like this as a resource allocation and conveys to the board and constituencies and the public in general how we're doing with the resources we received. And there are a number of questions I have I'm going to skip tonight, but I would strongly recommend that we have a workshop before the 15th, because the final budget basically has to go in after that meeting. And if we're going to make it come alive, I think that we need a workshop that focuses strictly on the budget to make it come alive. Why are we doing what we're doing and how we're doing it? Whether it's the unrestricted funds or categorical funds or whatever, the use of grants and things like that. We need to make it come alive.
I agree with you, Trustee Withrow. And, I say to people sometimes that I might not have a life because I'm really excited about having those kinds of discussions. I do think it's important for us to have a study session. I do agree that the study session should be such that it's timely to allow the input, and to also recognize that we have been given an extended deadline this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic from the State Chancellor's Office executive order. So it would be my intention to, have those study sessions calendared in the appropriate way as we move forward.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Trustee Reese?
Thank you, Chancellor Walter. I think you actually just took my line there, because one of the things that we talked about on the side was that, and we were talking about the 2021 deferrals and the cash balances, and you had some great ideas and great plans. And in our side conversation, you had said that you wanted a study session to be able to kind of share those ideas and those plans about the deferrals and the cash balances with the board. So I think that that's really important. So thank you for bringing that out in the open. And also, you right now have so many tasks ahead of you, given the expedited timeline as a result of the revised state budget, coupled with your new responsibilities in this position. That's all certainly stretched your bandwidth. And, certainly thank you for responding to some of our concerns. And we all know, I personally know, that we are going to be able to talk about this at length, either through a study session or before the adopted budget. And your assurance that it's going to go through the participatory governance process is also something that I think is incredibly important. So you put that out in the beginning. And once again, thank you for the transparency and the intentionality there, because that's what we needed to hear.
Thank you.
Got a lot on your plate.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Thank you. Actually, I'm really appreciating the discussion tonight, especially around process. I think Trustee Withrow brought up at the very beginning, even before we got to the budget, this massive document with 30,000 lines, and it's like, how do you pay attention to this? And I think that the budget is a similarly complex kind of thing, where changes can get tucked in here and there that may dramatically change things. And this is why I'm so pleased to see our board insisting on a level of transparency and inclusion, and seeing the administration really responding to that with the understanding that if we have that level of inclusion, we gain everybody's confidence that the document is one that really reflects our collective shared values. And I trust that if we have that kind of a process where you have a lot of eyes on a document, what happens is that people who focus in on particular areas of funding, they go there and they say, how is my area being treated well? And in that collaborative process, then there's that give and take. And so I'm really appreciating this more robust engagement around the transparency and inclusion. So thank you very much. This is a very refreshing change.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez. Trustee Weinstein?
Yeah, I just want to say also thank you, Chancellor, for working on this and giving us the opportunity in the future to kind of delve deeper into the issues that we're probably all concerned about. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, Chancellor, I want to thank you again for being so responsive with this tentative budget to the board's inquiry, and we'll go ahead and take roll call.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia-Bella Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. We will move to item 8.2, ratification of personnel items. May I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Seeing no discussion, we will go ahead and have roll call. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Mute.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia-Bella Reese?
Yes.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 8.3, ratification of academic faculty personnel. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second. I need a second.
I'll second.
Second. Sorry.
Thank you. We'll go ahead, if there are no discussion, we'll go ahead and take roll call. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia-Bella Reese? And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 8.4, consider ratification of the monthly contract report in accordance with Administrative Policy 6340. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Seeing no discussion, we'll go ahead and take roll call, please.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli-Bellarice?
Yes.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 8.5, consider ratification of change order number 3 to agreement for construction services with Environmental Resources Group, Inc. for supplemental emergency investigation and repair of plumbing issues at Building D at the College of Alameda in the amount not to exceed $17,495. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli-Bellarice?
Yes.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Item 8.6, consider acceptance of the Laney College Children's Center construction and modernization project and release of 5% retention in the amount of $8,019.02 to JPB Design, Inc. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
So, second.
And we have a second. Seeing no discussion, we'll go ahead and take roll call.
Thank you. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli-Bellarice?
Yes.
Thank you. And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll move into Board of Trustee reports. I'll begin with Trustee Brown.
Jelena, I asked for that question to be revisited.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. So, Trustee Handy, that was on an item in consent that was already approved, but you said you had a question?
I had a question, yes. And that was
okay.
The 6.4, which was to increase compensation to cover increased installation costs and comply with COVID distancing. I wanted to understand, what does that mean? When it comes to $14,000, what is the COVID pieces that have to be incorporated that would be a cost for us? And what is it that you're doing?
Chancellor, would you or
that would be
VP
for
Sada
Chancellor?
like to take?
Right.
That's right, but through the Chancellor, yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm going to say that this has to do with keeping the facilities in line with our COVID-19 physical distancing restrictions as it's stated here. But if you don't mind, VC Sada, to give a little bit more insight into this.
Sure. Thank you, Chancellor.
Brief insight, since the item has already been approved.
Sure. Thank you, President Bonilla. Trustee Handy, the brief story is of the $14,000, $3,000 was for an extra piece of equipment that was requested by the president of the college, and $11,000 was due to a loss of efficiency because they had to do social distancing when they were loading up the building and bringing the furniture in. And they had to pay for additional PPE that they did not bid on when they started the project because it was prior to the shelter-in-place laws.
So the company that we purchased it from, we adopt their cost for PPEs? so that they could do their job? Wouldn't that be a part of it? I know we have to take on the responsibilities for whatever happens within COVID. I was just a little surprised. Also, I'm glad to hear that it wasn't one piece of furniture that was $14,000, but how does that work? Aren't you usually responsible for whatever is required to do your job?
If it's put in the bid documents, yes, but as my understanding was not in this case. And most of it was frankly.
Of course, it would not be in anybody's bid document because nobody anticipated COVID, but doesn't everyone take their responsibility? I'm just asking because it just seems like if a hospital is responsible for PPE so that people can do their jobs. Movers would be responsible for whatever their equipment is or whatever they're covering it. It was the PPEs that struck me specifically. Why would we be paying for their piece when that would be required for them to do their job, period? Just asking. Because I'd like to live in a world where all of a sudden, you know, somebody's going to pay me so that I could do what I was supposed to do, where it's usually the other way around. So that common practice.
If I might help on that, we have protocols to protect our employees, and we can't let the delivery people come in if they don't have the PPE. And so what you're looking at is that change order, because in order for us to comply with our rules, we needed to make sure that they had the PPE, so they change ordered them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the reason why it seems strange, I've had people coming in, Comcast, all different types of companies. They come in with their PPE because it's a responsibility to protect their employees. So I just thought it was like interesting that it's like, this is just something, they're going to throw this price in here and we're going to do this, because people generally are responsible for protecting the people, the homes that they're going into, and be it garb. So I'll let it go, but it's like, nice work if you can get it.
And the equipment, though.
Thank you.
Yes.
The equipment
Thank you,
part
Trustee
I understand,
Handy.
but not the PPEs.
Thank you, Trustee Handy. And thank you, Trustee Brown, for following up. We will go ahead and move to Board of Trustee reports. Trustee Brown.
Yeah, so we have new rules coming out from the Department of Education. Betsy DeVos has revised the requirements for Title IX, and those impact the due process. They impact our policies. The changes would change the way that our complaint process and the way we address discrimination claims, and the new rules are scheduled to become effective August 14th. So I say that to say that there's a huge wave of change that's coming, and there is litigation that the Attorney General's office has filed against the Department of Ed, but that has more to do with the time that it would be implemented, not the content. So all that to say, on August 6th, for our weekly trustee webinar, the State Chancellor's Office will be doing a briefing on the proposed changes from the Department of Ed. We had made a comment, Karen might remember, last year, remember when they first came out, the new rules, we looked at those and we realized they would make a huge change. No, the year before last. I think this has been longer coming. But in any case, all that to say that noon on Thursday, if anyone's interested in getting an explanation of how the Department of Ed's changes to Title IX might affect community colleges, August 6th at noon will be a webinar for the CCLC webinar on that topic.
Thank you, Trustee Brown, for sharing that. Trustee Withrow.
Yeah, this past Friday, Trustee Reese and myself participated in the second of 4 3-hour sessions it's called a fellowship, trustee fellowship. There are 34 districts in California that participate, sponsored by the California Community Colleges Foundation and our state chancellor. And it's designed and orchestrated by the Aspen Institute, and community college leaders from various segments of the country participate. Of the 9 breakout groups, we're grouped with San Mateo, Chabot, Las Positas, and San Jose. Our facilitator was Dr. Maria Harper Marinek, recently retired chancellor of the Maricopa Community Colleges in and around Phoenix, which I think most people recognize as probably the strongest in the country. Chancellor Oakley participates throughout each of the 3-hour sessions. The mission of the Aspen Institute is to drive change through dialogue, leadership, action, whatever. There's a mission statement that they have and whatever, but they're very professional. The first session basically used statistics in and around our colleges specifically. And the main focus to me was career awareness and the lack of career awareness in terms of the students throughout the community colleges in the state of California. An understanding of what education is needed, what skill sets are needed to go into areas where the compensation is substantially above the poverty level. And in and around the Peralta colleges, 8 out of 10 of the largest occupations pay substantially below the poverty level, anywhere from $25,000 to $32,000 a year. And it's very shocking to look at this. And there's no question but what, per the Aspen Institute and their statistics, whatever, we were feeding our student graduates into a lot of these sub areas. The meeting on Friday covered the strategies for a pathway to creating a pathway to change. It's not an easy thing. It isn't just to come up and say, we're going to change, bang, move out. How do you do that? And who do you bring on board to do it? One of the things that they brought up was exploring the what and what a board should be looking at in terms of their role and focusing on the what as opposed to the how, but it was more understanding what the what is and designing and reviewing goals and performance and measuring what we're doing in terms of the what. We have 2 more to come ahead, one in October and one in, I think it's November or December, but very well done. Both Trustee Reese and I have the basic written material, if any of you'd like to see it. I'm not sure how much it would mean without having gone through it, but it certainly would make it come alive. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Trustee Withrow. Trustee Weinstein.
Thank you. And thank you, Trustee Brown, for bringing up the Title IX changes. I look forward to the Thursday presentation. I am always astonished at, let me say it differently. Our Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, is not my hero. And and she continues to do the most reprehensible things that I can think of. So I've read a little bit about the Title IX changes. I do understand what her point was, but I do think it makes our students have a much more difficult time in their cross-examination. But I look forward to hearing about it. I wanted to say that I watched the African-American graduation last Saturday, and it was beautiful. It was really beautiful, given that it was a Zoom event. Just the way that it was organized, and the music, and the speeches, and the pictures of the people graduating. Really nice job, and I was glad that I was able to see it. Also, if you haven't yet watched Last Chance U on Netflix, you got to do it. I watched it last night at 12:05. That's when it started. So I was very excited about it. I just watched the first episode, and it was both being like so happy and kind of tearful also, that they've done amazing work, but the coach, as well as the assistant coaches, as well as the athletes are extraordinary and working so hard to do what they're doing. So I want to thank them and congratulate the show and the athletes for doing this kind of work. It's just incredible. And Walker Scott and New Targuva, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, Coach Beam, assistant coaches, congratulations, you rock. And is there anything else? Mike Cooper, I've heard you speak now twice, and not sure how to get in touch with you, but I'm sure that I certainly, and I bet you a whole bunch of trustees do want to hear from you. So please let us know how to speak with you about it. I would appreciate it. Oh, I see. Okay, I got that. Okay, thank you very much. And congratulations to Dr. Denise Richardson. I still remember going through that process, and it is a great event when you complete it. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Weinstein. Trustee Handy.
I've been fielding a lot of calls from organizations up and down the state wanting to know what the heck is going on with Peralta. From funding sources, foundation sources, monies that we were applying for. And the one thing that is really crystal clear for me is that we had a chancellor resign and pretty much put out exactly what the challenges were. It hit the newspaper for a moment. People were interviewed and made comments. And now we're moving forward as if it never happened. We are predominantly minority, that hasn't changed, institution. Our practices must change. We have systemic racism within our organization and policies that go nowhere, that support that. That's not to say that any individual is being racist. It's just that when students or employees run across those efforts, there really is not a process that will institute change. We heard it, we took the report, we put it somewhere, and we keep moving forward, just as we did with the chancellor's letter. In order for this organization, or Peralta, to really be strong and to really be supportive of the students that we have and not lose any more of them, we have to be more culturally competent. We have to be able to meet students where they are. And if you look up at the Zoom and you look at the predominance of what we have, it's not representative of the students that we're trying to serve. So I am hoping that we, Peralta, take on our own investigation of racism and look at what we're going to be doing to alleviate some of the issues that we have. And if the chancellor hadn't said it, I've been saying the same thing for years. We have problems. And you can come in and you can sit next to each other and we can smile and all that, but that doesn't change the fact that there's an undertone of racism that predominates almost everything that happens within Peralta, and it paralyzes us. We don't progress as we should. So I'm hoping that we will stop pretending that big elephant in the room and start looking for moving towards doing something that is going to make a change, that's going to make our campuses the place that students want to be. We have $1 billion infrastructure bond. That's great, facilities bond, but that's putting lipstick on a pig if we do not change our behavior and change to make it a more user-friendly, student-friendly environment. So you are all the people there with the power to do it. Let's see what we can do to make Peralta a much better place than it is right now. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan.
Thank you. I think I like a lot of the people at Peralta, I have been immersed in the world of community college students. And one of the things that happens for me is in a dual role as a faculty member and then as a trustee is that I really get to experiment with kind of new stuff in this world of COVID land. I'm teaching 2 classes right now online, and in my classes, I've always required civic engagement field work. And so figuring out, all right, how do we transition all of that richness in the classroom into a digital world has been quite an extraordinary experience. I've taken all my interns online, and all my students are doing remote engagement work. And I just got their first part of their term project, which is a voter registration term project. By the end of the quarter, these students will have registered 500 students collectively and have engaged 1,000 voters in voter mobilization, voter education, and so forth, and put in 600 hours of civic engagement service for a range of fieldwork opportunities. This is such compelling work, but I also understand how challenging it is. And so my heart really goes out to the many faculty members and staff members who've had to figure out how to reconfigure that touch in a way that continues to make it effective and express the love and compassion and empowerment that we all want to engage in. And that's really challenging work. But I'm enjoying it this summer, and it's really helping me understand my role as a trustee in trying to figure out how to empower those of you who at Peralta are doing this work and knowing how hard that is. So thank you, everybody who is engaged in that work, from the people cleaning our buildings and risking their lives and health every day to the folks who are working remotely at home trying to just keep it together. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez-Yulin. Trustee Reese.
Yeah, very quickly, as Trustee Withrow already stated, he and I attended the Trustee Fellowship, which was the second seminar of 2 seminars for this particular summer. It was, I would say, and I think both he and I enjoyed, it was great to hear the best practices at other districts where administrators really involve the board in a deep analysis about student success and access outcomes and data. And specifically, what really hit home for me was the ways in which board members were not just given enrollment and student reports that were terminal and perfunctory updates, but that at those particular districts and best practice schools, that the administration and the presenters really analyzed the data carefully and came to the board with all the possible weaknesses, all the possible deficits, all the possible strengths, with the goal of really genuinely engaging the board members in intensive sessions and conversations about program review, about student success, enrollment, and access. I mean, those things are what they were trying to, I think, convey was the importance in having board members really engaged at both a macro level and at a dialogue and conversational level. And one of the takeaways for me was that they had really urged us to not just look at California or CCCCO median averages and compare ourselves to those benchmarks, but to really look locally and to really look at maybe some of the best colleges, some of the Aspen Institute colleges, and kind of use that as our benchmark. That way, we're always aiming towards perfection as opposed to aiming towards standards that are acceptable or maybe even less than mediocre. And so that was really wonderful to do with Trustee Withrow, and I hope that we start to do that at the district as well. You're on.
Thank you all so much. I think we will also move to thank you for those reports and all the work that you do up and down the state still, even from your desktops and from your homes. That's amazing. All of you, every single one of you. I'll move us to announcements. It says that we're going into adjournment, but I think we'd like to go into announcements first. Madam Vice President?
Hold on, I just texted Brenda for the announcements. Brenda, if you could just say it out loud.
Thank you. President Napoli Belarus, we only have one announcement, and that's that our next meeting, the board has a break in the month of August, and our next board meeting is on September 15th.
Thank you, my savior.
Thank you, everyone, so much. This meeting is adjourned. Have a wonderful evening and a safe rest of the week.
2 minutes after 9.
2 minutes after 9.
Good job.
Great job. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you.